Amazon, the richest company in the world, it can't make money apparently and is shutting down a bunch of games and laying off employees, which is ridiculous to say because Amazon is literally, like I said, the richest company in the world, and it apparently needs to lay off workers because it is not making money, which is crazy to me, and because of some other weird PC game stuff. That is going to be the main topic today. We're going to be talking about that and more. My name is the Technojelly. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this kind of content. We do it Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Now let's get into the video. Amazon Game Studios has had a very bad reputation, to say the least. It announced 3 games in the beginning of, or middle of 2016, Breakaway, Crucible, and New World. So far, in today, 2025, New World is the only game that still survives. Breakaway and Crucible were canceled before 2020 and basically didn't exist. Breakaway we basically never saw, and Crucible was literally unreleased when it came out a month after. So like it was a disaster. And New World did come out and it was actually pretty good. I played it when it first came out and it was fun. For me personally, MMOs I'm kind of over them. I basically play them like single player games with lag. So I was like, you know what? While I was having fun, I played 50 hours of this game and I think I'm done. I've had it. It was a good run and I'm done with it. But there's a lot of people that still play it. For the most part, they've averaged around 10,000 players throughout its lifetime, except for the peak of when it hit almost 1 million players when it first came out, when it was like the new hotness MMO that everyone wanted to play. But as most MMOs go, they go out blaze of glory, they go really hard, and then, you know, it kind of filters down, like players like me who stopped playing after the first few months. And, you know, they were still moving along. They still had a decent player base. You know, 10,000 players average is still pretty good. It'd go a little under, a little over, depending. Whenever new expansion comes out, it'd have a boost of success, just like most other games in that same genre. And recently, it was announced that the most recent expansion is going to be the last expansion ever for the game, and everyone was basically saying, I thought this game was doing pretty well. Like, it was still doing relatively well. Like, people were still buying the expansions. It wasn't a subscription based MMOs, so people were buying the expansions instead, and it seemed to be going pretty long. But then it came out that Amazon was trying to take on Steam, which I'd like to think myself as a pretty informed person, especially in the video game industry. I didn't know that Amazon was trying to compete with Steam, which is saying something, because I don't think anyone knew Amazon was trying to fight Steam or had a platform to fight Steam. In fact, I don't even know what the Amazon store is called for video games. Like, are they talking about Amazon, like the Amazon product, or are they talking about Twitch? I have absolutely no idea what they're even talking about. And I didn't even know they had a platform that was trying to fight Steam. I still don't know what it's called. But apparently, they were spending hundreds of millions of dollars trying to build this thing, and I still don't even know, even after going through most things. Like, they did do the Luna thing, which was their cloud gaming stuff, similar to what at the time Google Stadia was trying to do, which obviously both failed horribly, and they just thought they were going to buy games off of Twitch, which I do remember, now that I think about it, Twitch doing that for a little bit. It was pretty fast that they took that away. So I don't even know what they mean by they're trying to make a competitive platform against Steam, because they basically didn't have a platform. Like, I actually don't know what they're talking about. Like, when their VP of Prime Gaming talks about their 15-year-long battle against Steam, I didn't even know this was a 15-year-long battle against them. And now because of this, it seems like they have to lay off a ton of people because it's basically been a completely failed product, which makes sense because I literally don't even know what it is. And apparently Luna was still a thing, and it was just no one used it, which makes sense. So it's weird to me to say that even though I am an informed gamer in the video game industry, I didn't know they were trying to compete with Steam. Like, I knew about New World, of course, but the fact that they've burned so much money that they basically have shut down their gaming division trying to compete with Steam is saying something. And how it also says how dominant Steam is by basically doing nothing, because Valve doesn't force developers to put games on Steam. It's just that it's just been proven over and over and over again that if you don't put your game on Steam, it sells less and it gets less traction. So it's just like, it's become a no-brainer. So it's really funny to say that Amazon, with its infinite resources, couldn't fight Steam and now have given up the fight and unfortunately are laying off a crazy amount of people. The Amazon MMO team, which is the New World team, has basically been gutted. Like it's basically a skeleton crew to continue the game to until 2026, where I'm guessing, and this is just me saying, that the game's going to be shut down by 2027 because I just don't see them paying for the servers for that long, which sucks. And then Amazon itself is cutting 14,000 jobs because they deem them redundant. And it seems a good portion of that is from the Amazon game studio, which is unfortunate because like they seem to be doing fine. New World seemed to be doing fine in terms of its thing, but the problem is that when you're in the MMO genre, it's a very expensive genre to be, and I do feel like the MMO genre is just a money sink that people should stop trying to make games in. I really want them to just stop because it doesn't work unless you're World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, or honestly those are the only two that I can even think of that are still existing that are traditional MMOs. Like technically Star Wars The Old Republic exists, but I mean that game has been on life support for a very long time. And the only reason it survived because it went free to play and there's a couple whales playing the game, which can, continue it, but it's also been on a skeleton crew for a long time. Like it's a very small company running those things. And like, unless you're a really old MMO that can run a skeleton crew and survive off of a couple guys that are whaling the game, you basically can't make a new MMO. And so it's crazy to me to say that Amazon is cutting 14,000 jobs because they were trying to fight with Steam and of other reasons as well, I'm sure. Like, even though they don't technically say it in all their things, I'm sure it's also because they're trying to get into the AI buzz craze and they're trying to free up capital so they can pay into the investment stuff. And so it really sucks because basically Amazon's game studios have been all a failure. New World was probably the best one that they were able to actually make something, but it seems that overall it's been a failure in Amazon's eye, and honestly even in gamers' eyes like myself, it's been a pretty big failure because New World was the only game they ever created. And don't get me wrong, it's a fine game. Only so many studios can live off of one game. So it's not entirely surprising that they ended up faltering. But let me know what you guys think about in the comments down below. If you think it's ridiculous that the richest company in the world needs to fire 14,000 people because of needing money, apparently. And let me know if you also played New World, if you're into it or not. And I'm assuming most people stopped playing because it's literally going to be a dead game in a year or so, I feel like. I think it's going to be shut down and it's not going to be able to play. You can still play the game, but most people have given up on it, which makes sense because it is most likely going to be shut down. Moving on to a other side of a financial performance review, Remedy, which are most known for Alan Wake and Control, have unfortunately reported an operation loss of 16.4 million euros in Q3, mostly because of FBC Firebreak and its abysmal performance. And I was actually kind of interested in FBC Firebreak, but when it was released, it was so obvious an early access game that they tried to release, I didn't bother with it. And I can kind of understand because I mean, like, Remedy isn't known for multiplayer co-op games. They're known for Alan Wake and Control, which are single-player, story-driven games. And it was just a complete out of left field. Now, don't get me wrong. People can, like, the company can make a different game from a different genre and still be good, but this is like a complete out of left field. And I also think they didn't help themselves by making, like, the game itself made to be a repeatable co-op horde shooter like a Left 4 Dead or something like that. Because if they made it more similar to, like, they made 3 characters you can play and they had stories and voice lines and it was a more story-driven co-op experience, I think people would have been totally fine with that. Like a story-driven co-op experience where it is technically like you're playing one of 3 classes and you're going through levels and it's a story-driven thing, I think people would have been totally down for that. But if it's a blankless 3 classes, you play these levels over and over and over again to level up, people don't play Remedy games for that. There are plenty of other options, and from what I can tell, it didn't even offer that much interest in it because there is some crazy wacky stuff in Control, which is what it was using the Control universe, but it didn't seem that crazy wacky, so it is unfortunate. And I mean, I was part of the problem. It looked interesting, but overall I was like, after seeing more of the gameplay when it came out, I was like, it turns out it's not that interesting and it's not really worth that much money. It was half price here, but not that interested, even on Game Pass and most people didn't play it. Like, it didn't even peak over a few thousand players last time I checked. And because of this, the CEO has been talking about it and is now stepping down, which makes sense because his ideas did seem to, well, fail, honestly. And they have been replaced with a co-founder, Marcus Mackay, and the other person was Taro Vertali. And I hope Marcus, the new CEO, just continues what they were doing before, because some of the biggest problems, in my opinion, with Remedy is that, one, Alan Wake 1 was a decent game. It sold okay, wasn't crazy. Control was a really good game and sold pretty well, but Alan Wake 2 wasn't on Steam. And just like I said earlier, people buy games on Steam. It was on the Epic Games Store only exclusively. And there's been many reports of how Alan Wake 2 like still hasn't made its money back, or like just recently made its money back after like a few years being out. And that's because people just don't buy it on Epic Games Store. So I hope their next game, which I'm pretty sure is going to be Control 2, comes out on Steam and people will just play that game. Also, Control is less of a horror game, so people might be more inclined to buy that as well. Alan Wake, while not entirely a horror game, it's definitely got that more thriller vibe. So some people are less inclined to buy horror games because, I mean, like, even like some of the biggest horror game franchises like Resident Evil or Silent Hill, or even like the smaller games like Outlast and stuff like that, while they were hit big, they sold millions of copies, which is great. But like, I don't think any of them have sold 10 plus million when it comes to like those big AAA releases and comes to horror games, because horror games don't sell as much because it's a different genre. It's a very niche genre, which is understandable. So I feel like Control 2 has a bigger chance to like explode into the world, and I hope that they continue making Control and Alan Wake games. And they're also working on Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes, which is cool. So I hope that this like becomes a thing. And honestly, I would be okay with an FBC Firebreak, like a different take on that, if it was just more story driven. Like, the problem is that it's a Left 4 Dead style game like 20-ish years too late, you know? Like, it's maybe 10 years too late. There just isn't enough things in it. Like, it needed to be more story. Like, if you made 3 characters and they had voice lines and they talked to each other and stuff like that, similar to something like maybe like Vermintide, where the characters are characters and they constantly bicker at each other. And now, to be fair, though, that is a wave base where you're supposed to play over and over and over again, but like, maybe that would have been better if the characters had more personality, so Remedy can make the Remedy part of the game more interesting. So hopefully they do that with the newer games. I mean, we know they're going to do that with the Control 2 and potentially Alan Wake 3 whenever it comes out. But hopefully the new direction, going back to the old direction, is good. And finally, Microsoft's new Xbox has been rumored and been leaking a lot of your next generation of Xbox. And what it basically seems is that the new Xbox is most likely going to be basically a PC. And it seems that the newest Xbox is just going to be a relatively fancy PC where you can play your video games on. And I mean, to be fair, with Xbox's marketing headlines, it makes sense. Like the Xbox Play Anywhere and stuff like that. So it makes sense. And I'm going to be honest, the Xbox Series has been a failure. No one really cares outside of the already dedicated Xbox fan base. Like, don't get me wrong, the Xbox Series sold millions of units, but Xbox doesn't want millions of units sold. They need tens of millions of units sold. And they needed to be in multiple homes. And they needed to be global as well, because it's basically mostly in the America. It's not really in Europe or Japan or any Asian market. It's mostly the USA and Canada. And that's basically it. Now, of course, there is Xboxes everywhere, but you know what I mean here. Like, it is a very American-focused business, but even in the American markets, they're losing. Because from what they've been talking about and from the leaks we've seen is that it's basically a pretty beastly PC, or, okay, maybe I shouldn't say beastly. It is a PC console, basically. And I hate to use the name, but it sounds like the Steam PCs that Valve tried to do before they did the Steam Deck. But it makes more sense for Xbox to do it because, one, they already have Windows. 2, they already have a fan base that's more into the console side of things. So buying a box that's basically a PC and is also potentially easier for game developers to make games on Xbox could be pretty good. And if you can then run PC titles as well on an Xbox, like if you can install Steam on this Xbox PC, that could make sense. And then you can also run Game Pass on this thing as well. I mean, to be fair, you could only do that on Xbox as well. But it seems like I kind of understand what they're going for, and I hope that it works. Another big thing is this, that potentially it means that maybe all the original other Xbox games could also be backwards compatible. And there's even some people saying, like, there's rumors that it might even go back to all the way to OG Xbox, which would be a big deal because a lot of people miss the original Xbox and 360 games, and they're really hard to play nowadays unless you emulate them or find a physical copy. And some of them are literally lost to time, unfortunately. So maybe we hopefully can find these things and so they can be released. And it sounds to me that this might be a good trajectory for Xbox if they actually do this, because they need a refresh in the Xbox hardware department and basically saying, hey, everyone, this is the new generation of Xbox. And then releasing whatever. For the love of God, don't call it the Xbox Series whatever PC. Call it whatever Xbox it is. Call it the new Xbox. Make the Xbox name punchy, but separated from the failures of the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X. And make sure everyone knows that you're going to release games on it. Because that was the big problem recently for the past 3 years, is that there's nothing been released. You've been all Game Pass all day, which is nice, but no one cares about Game Pass if there's no AAA games on it. And Xbox needs to start releasing big AAA games. Like Obsidian has been pulling their weight when it comes to games, but they're not a AAA developer. I love Obsidian's games, but they're not AAA hard-hitting headliners, you know? Like Outer Worlds 2, Grounded 2, great games. They're not headliners though. Those are the ones that you add additional to for the game gamers. You know, the gamers that are in deep, but for the more AAA headliners, you need bigger things like a Gears of War, a Halo, anything. And now you even own COD, so COD can be on the next thing too. So I hope that this is a new era for Xbox. Let's go back to the 360 era where it was just a game console for games. And the Xbox Play Anywhere is a good tagline, but people need to want to own an Xbox to play anywhere. So you need to still have the brand Xbox. And I hope this continues to be a good thing for Xbox, because everyone's gearing up for the next generation. And the next generation, the Switch 2 already run. Let's just put that down. I don't want to put it against Xbox or PlayStation, but I'm pretty sure Switch 2 already won. But let's have actual competition between Xbox and PlayStation, and maybe even Nintendo. You know, I'm not saying they can't beat them, but Nintendo has a huge lead. Let's see if Microsoft and Sony can actually fight each other and not just blatantly be 1, 2, and 3. Because Nintendo's been first place for a long time, PlayStation's been second place for a long time, and Xbox has been third place for a long time. So let's just actually have competition for each other so we can have better products and better games. That's just all I want, really. Better products and better games, because all these companies are basically doing their own thing because they can't touch each other, and I really want that to change. So hopefully this new generation of Xbox will change it. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Comment down below what you guys think about all of these new stories. I really appreciate it. If you do, we can have a conversation down below in the comments. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you dislike it. I completely understand. If you'd like to support me directly, please go over to my Patreon at patreon.com/@the-techno-jelly. Becoming a member, you get access to a once in a month stream, as well as a poll to vote on that stream, as well as some other perks, as well as you join the credits going along and joining all of these nice people in them. Thank you everyone for watching once again. If you'd like to follow me on other platforms, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you on Friday. Goodbye everyone.